I want to make sure I get this. You're going to have hundreds of thousands of people on your head. I'm just letting you know, officer. So you're saying that, so you're, I'm going to say this again carefully.
Don't you dare hesitate, sign it. Orium's hand froze midair as the pen hovered over the report because he had just watched his partner plant the evidence. They were behind a dim convenience store. Suspect cuffed on the ground, sirens echoing in the distance. Officer Orium Reed and his senior partner, Derek Vance, alone with a case that suddenly didn't make sense. Derek was already writing it up like nothing happened, like the drugs he found hadn't come straight out of his own pocket. And now he expected Orium to back him up to lie, officially, permanently. Orium felt it hit all at once. If he signs, an innocent man goes down. But if he doesn't, he's going up against the one cop everyone trusts. Then Derek leaned closer, too calm, too confident, and muttered, "Careful, Orium. You're not the first partner to question me." Footsteps approached from behind, and Derek suddenly smiled. A second patrol unit rounded the corner, headlights washing over the alley. Two officers stepped out, one of them nodding at Derek like they'd done this 100 times before. No questions. No curiosity, just quiet acceptance. Orium's grip tightened on the pen. That looked like everything was already understood, made his stomach turn. This wasn't a one-time thing. This was routine. The suspect on the ground twisted his head toward Orium, voice shaking. "Officer, please, you saw what he did. Tell them." For a split second, everything slowed. The flashing lights, the radio chatter, Derek's presence right beside him, steady, unbothered. "Write it up," Derek said. "Louder now, for everyone to hear. Recovered narcotics during search, suspect resisted." It sounded official, clean, final. Orium looked down at the paper again. Every word Derek had just said was already written there, like the story had been decided before it even happened. And then Derek's voice dropped just enough for only him to hear. "Sign it, or explain to them why your version doesn't match mine." Orium didn't move because in that moment, he realized this wasn't just about one report. It was about how many others had already been signed. Before we go anywhere further, comment where in the world you are watching from and make sure to subscribe because tomorrow's story is one you don't want to miss. Orium didn't sign, and Derek noticed immediately. Back at the station, the energy felt completely different from the alley. Bright lights, casual chatter, keyboards clicking, like nothing unusual had happened. Derek walked in ahead of him, relaxed, already joking with two officers near the front desk. "Another one off the street," Derek said, tossing the file onto the counter. Guy practically handed it to us. They laughed. No one questioned it. Orium stayed a few steps behind, the unsigned report still in his hand. His eyes moved from Derek to the others, trying to read something. Anything, but all he saw was routine. Normal. That same quiet acceptance. 2 years. That's how long he'd been riding with Derek Vance. Derek was the one who trained him, showed him how to handle calls, how to read people, how to stay sharp under pressure. He'd vouched for Orium when it mattered, pulled strings to get him assigned to this precinct. Everyone respected Derek. Some even admired him. And now Orium couldn't unsee what just happened. He sat at his desk staring at the report. The words looked clean, professional, but they didn't match what he saw. Not even close. His mind started replaying moments he'd brushed off before. Derek skipping full searches because he was sure. Reports that felt just slightly too polished. Suspects arguing, insisting something was off, only to be ignored. At the time, it all felt like experience, confidence. Now it felt like something else. "Still working on that?" Derek's voice cut in. Orium looked up. Derek was standing right beside him. No smile this time. "You're overthinking," Derek said, low enough so no one else could hear. "Happens when you're new. You'll learn." Orium didn't respond. Derek leaned closer, resting one hand on the desk. "Let me make this simple. That report gets filed tonight, with both our names on it." There it was again, that pressure, calm, controlled, like the outcome was already decided. Orium finally spoke, quietly. "I didn't see you find it. A pause. Derek's expression didn't change, but something in his eyes did. Be careful how you phrase things, Derek replied, because what you're really saying is that I falsified evidence. The words hung between them, heavy. Across the room, officers moved around, unaware or pretending to be. Derek straightened up, adjusting his uniform like nothing had happened. You think Internal Affairs is going to take your side over mine? He added casually. You don't even have a version yet. Orium felt the weight of that. No proof, no backup, just his word against Derek's reputation. Derek turned to walk away, then stopped. Oh, he said, glancing back, you might want to look at case file 4721 when you're done. Orium frowned. Why? Derek gave a small, knowing smirk. Just thought you'd find it familiar. He walked off before Orium could respond. Minutes later, curiosity got the better of him. Orium pulled up the file. Same type of arrest, same location pattern, same wording in the report, and then his chest tightened. Same suspect name, different date. He whispered under his breath, barely audible. This wasn't the first time, was it? Orium didn't sleep that night. By morning, the decision was already made. He wasn't signing anything else blindly. Instead, he started paying attention. Every call, every stop, every search. He noted timestamps from the body cam, saved small details in his phone, and quietly compared them to Derek's reports. At first, it felt paranoid until the patterns started lining up. Too perfectly. 2 days later, they were back on patrol together. A routine traffic stop, broken taillight, nothing serious. Orium stepped out of the cruiser, heart already beating faster than it should. He didn't know why, but he stayed close this time, watching Derek's every move. Evening, Derek said casually to the driver, leaning into the window. Mind stepping out for me? The driver complied, confused but calm. Orium positioned himself just behind Derek, eyes locked on his hands. The search began. Quick, confident, familiar, and then there it was. A subtle movement, Derek's right hand dipping toward his own pocket, then reappearing near the driver's seat. Orium felt it instantly. That same wrongness. Seconds later, Derek straightened up. Well, look at that, he said, holding up a small bag. You want to explain this? The driver's face dropped. That's not mine, I swear. I didn't. Orium didn't speak. He just stared at Derek. This time, there was no doubt. Derek glanced at him briefly, not surprised, not worried, just checking. Like he already knew Orium was watching. Back in the car, silence filled the space between them. Then Derek broke it. You're thinking too hard again, he said, eyes still on the road. Orium turned slightly. You planted that. Derek didn't even look at him. We got drugs off the street, he replied flatly. That's what matters. That man was clean, Orium pushed, voice tighter now. You made him a criminal. A small chuckle escaped Derek. No, he said. I made a case. The words hit harder than anything else. Orium looked out the window, trying to steady himself, but his mind was racing now. This wasn't a mistake. It wasn't pressure. It was a system. Later that afternoon, back at the station, Orium pulled records. Derek's arrest number stood out immediately higher than almost everyone else consistently, praised in reports, mentioned by supervisors, rewarded. And then Orium overheard something that made his stomach drop. Derek, talking casually with a senior officer near the hallway. Results speak for themselves, Derek said. Details don't change that. The officer shrugged. As long as it holds up, I don't care how it gets there. Orium froze where he stood. That was it. If this went higher, it might not go anywhere at all. That night, in the locker room, Orium finally confronted him. You're setting people up, he said, voice controlled but firm. Derek closed his locker slowly, then turned. For a moment, there was silence. Then Derek shrugged. We get results, he said simply. No denial, no hesitation, Orium felt something shift inside him. And now, Derek added, stepping closer, "You've been right there with me." A pause. Derek's eyes locked onto his. "Which means if this goes bad," he said quietly, "it doesn't just land on me." Orium's chest tightened. Because in that moment, he realized Derek wasn't just corrupt. He had already pulled him into it. And walking away now might not be an option. Orium couldn't shake it anymore. Silence wasn't neutral, it was complicity. The next morning, he sat in his car outside the precinct, engine off, staring at his reflection in the windshield. Derek's words kept echoing, "You've been right there with me." Maybe that was true, but it didn't have to stay that way. Inside, everything looked normal again. Officers moving, phones ringing, reports being filed. But now Orium saw it differently, like he was walking through something fragile that could crack at any second. He made the call. Internal Affairs didn't say much, just asked for specifics, dates, times, anything concrete. Orium gave them what he had, but it wasn't enough yet, not for a move this serious. "We need something undeniable," the investigator said. "Clear, direct." Orium understood. So he went back out on patrol with Derek that evening, knowing exactly what he was looking for. The air felt heavier this time. Every stop felt like a setup waiting to happen. And then it did. A call came in disturbance near a parked vehicle. They arrived to find a nervous young man standing beside his car, hands visible, cooperating. Derek stepped in first, calm, as always. "Mind if we take a look?" he asked. The man nodded quickly. Orium positioned himself slightly behind and to the side, angle clear, body cam unobstructed. His pulse was loud in his ears now. The search began. Slow, controlled. Then again, that same movement. Derek's hand slipped into his own pocket, then down along the edge of the car door. Orium didn't blink. He saw it. Clear, direct, no obstruction. Seconds later, Derek straightened. "Got something here," he announced. Orium stepped forward immediately. "Don't," he said, sharper than intended. Derek paused, just for a fraction of a second, but it was enough. Their eyes locked. Derek knew. Back at the station, Orium didn't wait. He went straight to a private office and submitted everything: footage, notes, timestamps, prior cases, every piece he had. Hours later, the call came. "Stay available," Internal Affairs said. "Do not discuss this with anyone." Too late, because when Orium stepped out into the parking lot that night, Derek was already there, leaning against his car, arms crossed, waiting. "You really did it," Derek said, pushing off the vehicle slowly. His voice wasn't loud. It didn't need to be. Orium stopped a few feet away. "You left me no choice." Derek let out a quiet breath, shaking his head like he almost respected the answer. Then he stepped closer. "You think they're going to thank you for this?" he asked. "You just burned your own career." Orium held his ground, but the weight of that possibility pressed hard. Derek leaned in, voice dropping to a near whisper. "Tomorrow morning," he said, "when they start asking questions, make sure your story lines up." A pause. Then the final blow, "because I already gave mine." The next morning, Orium was called into the captain's office. He stepped inside, and Derek was already sitting there, smiling. Orium stopped just inside the doorway, every instinct telling him this was the moment everything could collapse. The captain sat behind his desk, expression unreadable. Derek was off to the side, relaxed in his chair like this was just another routine meeting. And next to the window, two unfamiliar faces. Suits. Quiet. Watching. "Close the door, Officer Reed," one of them said. Orium did. The room went still. "Internal Affairs," the man added, flashing a badge. "We've been reviewing your submission." Derek shifted slightly, but only slightly. Still composed, still confident. The investigator set a tablet on the desk and tapped the screen. "Let's walk through this together." The footage began to play. First angle body cam from the alley. Derek's hand, the movement, Subtle, but there. Second clip traffic stop, same motion, same pattern. Third clearer than the rest, no obstruction, no doubt. The room felt tighter with every second. Orium didn't take his eyes off Derek. And for the first time, Derek wasn't smiling. We've had concerns about Officer Vance for some time, the second investigator said calmly, but we lack direct visual confirmation. He looked at Orium until now. Derek leaned forward suddenly. This is out of context. You're twisting procedure. Sit back, the captain cut in, voice sharp. Silence. The investigator slid a folder across the desk. Multiple cases tied to identical evidence patterns, same reporting language, same arrest structure. We're reopening them all. That was it. The confidence drained out of Derek's face, not all at once, but enough to show it was real. You're suspending me over this? Derek asked, trying to steady his voice. No, the captain replied. A beat. I'm terminating you. The words landed heavy. Derek didn't respond this time. Outside the room, word spread fast. By the end of the week, Derek Vance was no longer a cop. An internal investigation turned criminal. Cases he touched were flagged, some already dismissed. Names cleared, charges dropped. But it didn't end clean for Orium. In the locker room, conversations stopped when he walked in. Some officers avoided him. Others gave quiet nods but kept their distance. Snitch wasn't said out loud. It didn't need to be. Still, not everyone saw it that way. A few days later, the captain called him in again. You did what most wouldn't, he said simply. That matters. Orium didn't respond right away because it hadn't felt like courage. It felt like risk, loss, pressure from every side. But as he stepped back out onto the floor, something had shifted. The weight was still there, but so was something else. Clarity. Weeks later, Orium sat in a patrol car again. New partner beside him. Different energy, no shortcuts, no silence. For a moment, he looked down at the badge on his chest. Same badge. Different meaning, because now it wasn't just something he wore. It was something he chose to stand for, even when it cost him. And this time, he didn't hesitate.